The time right now is 5:02. Let's send it back out to Lawrence with Fred and Olivia. Good morning, you two.
Good morning. It's a gorgeous morning here in Lawrence. We're at the historic downtown square, and this is where it all started, and it's still to this day a focal point.
That's right. And Stephen, you were able to dive a little bit deeper into the history of Lawrence. What can you tell us?
Well, I'll tell you what, I learned that there used to be several distilleries in Lawrence, maybe some where you're standing right now, which kind of helped the founders choose the location where you're at. Take a look. Just like most towns and cities we've been to, the land that Lawrence sits on belonged to the Cherokee, but was given up to settlers after the Cherokee sided with the British in the Revolutionary War.
The city of Lawrence was not established until well after the Revolution.
The property was sold multiple times after the Revolutionary War. It was finally bought by the judges of Lawrence County.
Their job was to determine a city center. They gathered together at a distillery right probably a couple blocks from us right here.
The group had two locations in mind, one about 1.5 miles northeast of Lawrence and the other in the opposite direction. A decision was made, but as the story goes, it was after one too many drinks.
We'll just say that they weren't in the mood to go visit, for all of them to go visit that site and all of them to go visit that site. And they staggered up this hill, because it is a hill. They staggered up the hill and put down stakes, and that later became the center of the city.
Surrounding the center of the city were businesses. One of the business owners went on to much bigger and better things.
One of our famous residents was Andrew Johnson, who was a tailor, and he set up shop here in the city of Lawrence, and he would later become the 17th president of the United States.
Years later, when industry started to boom, the Lawrence Glass Factory employed hundreds, which also has a piece of presidential history, specifically with Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson.
He was inviting the president. He was on his trip out to Texas, and he was going to have a big picnic at his ranch, and so he wanted something special. And so he had these bottles made for soda. They made these especially for John F. Kennedy's trip out to Texas. And of course, we know the tragic story was that the president was assassinated. And so Vice President Johnson ordered that all of the bottles be destroyed. So they're a very rare find.
A couple years later, Pink Floyd was founded, and the city of Lawrence played a role in that too.
Pink Floyd was named after a Piedmont blues musician, Pink Anderson, who was right here from Lawrence, South Carolina, and Floyd Council, who was also from South Carolina. So that's how we get Pink Floyd.
If that's not enough for you, take in the sights of Lawrence and their historic landmarks.
The James Dunklin House is one of the oldest homes in Lawrence, and it's a good example of an upcountry farmhouse.
Or maybe the Church of the Epiphany.
It enjoys the distinction of being the oldest church structure in the city of Lawrence, and it's never locked. It's open so that people can come in from the weather or just to have a moment of silence and solitude for prayer.
Just like the church, you're always welcome in the city of Lawrence. And of course, you can read more about the history of Lawrence over on our website, WSPA.com. You see how those distilleries kind of played a role in how that city was founded. Drank a little too much and just put those stakes right at the city square.
It's a great story.
You're giggling.
I'd love to. We should have recreated that scene at some point. Just say, how about there?
Absolutely. And Stephen, you had some of my trivia questions in your history package.
Oh.
So pay attention this morning because you'll want to know it for later when we ask some questions.
Very good.